Okay, so Bez Hashem, we're starting Nun Hey Amun Aleph. We're actually going back a little bit from where we went up to last week, just because it's really part of one topic to kind of like keep it all in one session. So we're on Nun Hey Amud Aleph, and the Hebrew side we are two lines up from the wide lines, the last word on the line, Boe Mine, and the English we're on 55A2 on the right side, bottom paragraph. Boe Mine Rav Sheish. Rav Sheshe was inquired Rav Sheshe as follows. We already know, we saw this halacha in the Mishnah, that if a Jew had intimate relations with an animal, right, you kill the animal, you kill the Jew. What happens if a guy had intimate relations with an animal? Now, halachically, we know we have to kill the guy. That's the halachic status of the guy. What about the behemoth? Do we kill the behemoth also? Do we say, says the Gemara, takala the kalam be'inon v'hacha takala ika kalam leka? Do we say that when we kill the animal that was with the Jew, remember the animal, they're not bardat, they don't have knowledge of what they're doing. So why do we kill the animal when the Jew is with the animal? So the Mishnah said there are two reasons. One reason is because the Jew gets punished because of it. Second reason is that if the animal walks around, there's going to be an embarrassment. Everyone's going to know that this is the animal that something was done with and the other guy died from. So therefore, you kill the animal too. So the question is, by Goyim, when the guy is with the animal, do you have those two things? Downfall you have, because the guy technically should be killed. But is there really embarrassment? Kalon Leka, there is no embarrassment, says the Gemara. And it's possibly explained by Rashi that because it's something that Goyim are more prone to do and not embarrassed about. They might have some sort of stigma to it, but they're not that embarrassed by it as would be Jews. Or do we say the Torah is embarrassed when a Jew does that, but it's not embarrassed by a guy does, even though it's still awesome for a guy to do that. Either way, there's not the same level of degradation and embarrassment as if a Jew is with the animal as if a guy is with the animal. So can we still kill that animal? We're missing the degradation part, the embarrassment part. Or Dilma, or do we say takalaf we ain't calling? Or we say, you know what? Since the guy technically is supposed to be killed, um, since the guy is supposed to be killed, um, so that's enough to get the behemoth killed as well. Do we say that? That is the question that was asked by Rav Sheshet, to Rav Sheshet. Now, Rav Sheshet said to them, Tenuta. We already learned this in a Braita. What? When we have an Asherah tree, right? An Asherah tree is a tree that they served as a Avodah Zarah. And it says in the Torah, you have to destroy it, right? You have to burn it. You have to completely eradicate it. And Adam to call al Yadam. So we learn from here that if a person makes someone do avodah zarah, you also kill them. Who makes someone go from true life to death, you also kill the guy. But what do we see here? That you destroy an Asherah tree. Why? Takal al Yadam, because people's downfall comes through them. So you see, you kill an Asherah tree, you destroy an Asherah tree when it was just a downfall. There's no embarrassment together with a with a Asherah tree. It's just a downfall. The guy bows down to an Asherah tree. So you kill him for doing away the Zerah, but there's no embarrassment there. So the Gemara says, if that's what you're saying, then all you need is a downfall. So then when a guy bows down to his animal, like you have in India, they bow down to the cows or whatever it is, wherever they have this. So you should have to kill the animal because the guy served the Avodah Zarah. When a guy served the Avodah Zarah, it's chayav mitab. So the animal should also be killed because the downfall came because of him. All you need is downfall. Gemara says you can't say that. The reason why you can't say that, you come into the Yisrael also. You never find something that is mutter for a Jew and also for a guy. You can't find that. It doesn't exist. Okay? You have something that is also that is mutter for a guy and also for a Jew, but you never have something that is prohibited to a Jew, that is permitted to a Jew and forbidden to a guy. You never have that. So we know in Sechet Teruma we learn, in Sechet Temura we learn that if a Jew bows down to a animal, the animal cannot be brought up as a carbon, but you can still eat that animal. It can still be used. You can't bring it up as a carbon. Okay, so if that's the case, by a Jew bows down, so if a guy bows down, how much more so you won't have to kill the animal. So that's why you can't say if a guy bows down, you kill the animal. But if a guy bows down, there is a takala, there is a downfall, the guy should be punished. So why doesn't that happen? The Gemara says, one question, another way. Yisrael gufuli tasar. Why don't we say when the Jew bows down, make it usher? The Jew bows down to a animal, make the animal usher. Midide haver aravia. Just as if a Jew is with an animal intimately, right, having relations, you have to kill the Jew and the animal. So if a Jew bows down to an animal, you have to kill the Jew for doing avodah zarah. You should kill the animal also. Why don't we do that? So Abaye says it depends on the level of degradation involved. Meaning that when a Jew is with an animal, that's a huge embarrassment. That's a huge degradation. That's a huge problem. So then you kill the animal also. But if a Jew bows down to an animal, you can't bring it as a carbon, but you can still eat it because it's not as much as an embarrassment as if the person was with the animal physically. Bowing down to it is bad, and it's somewhat of a degradation, but it's not bad enough to kill the animal too. That's what the Gemara wants to answer. There has to be a level of degradation in order to be able to kill the animal. Gemara then says, but 1 second to Abaya. You're saying it all depends on the level of degradation. You have by the Asherah tree, it says, destroy, burn, and eradicate the tree. There's no huge embarrassment. There's no huge embarrassment by avodah zarah. Apparently, it was something that was mostly done. Did it, so it was not a huge embarrassment. So why are we destroying the Asherah tree? There's not enough of an embarrassment. So the Gemara says you can't compare trees to livestock. We are talking about livestock. The chas rachmana that the Torah has rachmanas on the animal. Doesn't want to kill the animal unless there is a lot of embarrassment. But by trees, it's not the same. It's not livestock like animals. So there's less rahmanut on the tree. Therefore, if takala alone, downfall alone happens through it, you do destroy it. It does not need a huge amount of embarrassment. That's the way Abaya wants to explain the case that you do kill the animal when a guy is with the animal because there is a lot of degradation that doesn't exist by avodah zarah. By avodah zarah, no. By being with the animal, yes. Rava gives another answer. Rava says there's a different behemoth. Amra Torah behemoth nehenes ma'avera tehari. You know, when we kill the animal, we don't just usually kill the animal. So if he bows down to the animal, we're not going to kill the animal. But if you're physically intimate with the animal, then you will kill the animal. When is that? Because there's pleasure involved in the Aveda. Right? There's something there. There's some sort of hana'ah, there's some sort of pleasure that's derived. And therefore, in such a case, you would kill the animal. But bowing down to the animal, you won't kill him because there's no real hana'ah that the cow doesn't kill you bowing down to him. There's no physical pleasure for him in that. The Gemara says 1 second, but there is no pleasure that the trees get, and you tell me you have to destroy, burn, eradicate the tree. But there is no pleasure. The tree doesn't get any pleasure from them bowing down to it. The Gemara says again, we only say that you need this additional criteria in order to destroy the livestock that's only by livestock, but not by plant life, not by trees. But we find the merciful one is more merciful and spares them by livestock versus versus trees. Trees die. You can kill trees just for them doing a takala without actually having any hana. But whereas an animal, even though a takala, a downfall, happened to the human, you don't kill it unless the animal got some sort of pleasure, according to Rava. So you have Rava and Abaya, and both of them want to say that if a guy is with an animal, you do kill the animal. Abaya based on the fact that there is a significant amount of embarrassment, and Rava on the fact that there is somewhat of the pleasure that the animal gets, so you kill it. Now the Gemara wants to prove this. Tashma, davar achar, as it says in our Mishnah. If you go back to the Mishnah said, okay, the Mishnah said, I'm going back to 54a4. If you want to look back with me, otherwise I'll say it out loud. It says, if the Jew or the person made the sin, what did the animal do that you have to kill the animal? So, because a downfall came on the person, therefore you have to kill the animal too. That's one reason. Because a downfall came because of him, therefore you kill him. One reason. Second reason, and that's where we pick up here in our Mishnah. In our Gemara, you don't want the animal walking around the market and people pointing and saying, "Oh, that's the animal Charlie was with, and that's why Charlie died," right? So we don't want that to happen. So that davar achar, that one that says we don't want the animal walking around, what is it? It has my love. Is it not the case? Mid the sefer of that statement of the animal walking around, takala the kolon. It has both takala, a downfall, and embarrassment. Embarrassment, everyone's saying that's the animal, and in takala, the downfall, they're saying that Charlie died because of it. So it has both a takala, the downfall, and the kolon and the embarrassment in it. Now Reisha, so when it first says because the takala came, it doesn't talk about embarrassment there. Takala b'loy kolon. It must be where there's only a downfall and no embarrassment. The hechidami, and where is this case? So where do you have a case where you have a downfall but no embarrassment? That is the case of a guy with an animal. Because the guy with the animal, there is takala, he's gonna have to be killed, but there is no embarrassment because the guy did it. So that's the proof in the Mishnah that you do kill the animal when a guy's with it, because you have a case of takala with no embarrassment. Or it says not true. Loi. Say for the kolon. You're right when it says davar achar. It means that you need to have both downfall and embarrassment. But when it says in the beginning, reisha hakam ashmalon, and when you said in the first case, it said when there is a takala, right? And you say where you can have a case of a downfall without embarrassment when the guy with an animal, not necessarily. You can possibly say when it says takala there, it doesn't mean takala, but rather it means there's an embarrassment without a downfall. That there's the takala is the embarrassment. There's an embarrassment. The downfall is the embarrassment, but there is no actual downfall. The hechidami. Where can you have a case that someone's with an animal and there is no downfall, but there is embarrassment? This is Yisrael Habal Behema B'Shogeg. If a Jew is with the animal B'Shogeg inadvertently, meaning he didn't know that the animal was asur. He thought the animal was a mutar to be with, so he did a b'shogeg. Right, so you can't kill the guy. He did a b'shogeg. You can't kill him because it's shogeg. So, but there is an embarrassment still there because Yisrael is with an animal. And this was the question of Rav Huna. The way Rav Huna said, if a Jew is with an animal accidentally, without intent, what is the law? Do we say you need, in order to kill the animal, you need to have both downfall and degradation? And here we have an embarrassment. Takala we don't have anyone taking the fault for the sin. Or Dilma or is it enough just to have embarrassment without a downfall, and that's enough to kill the animal? So which one is it? And now we're going to try to answer this question. Rav Yosef, Tashma, come learn from a Mishnah, Maseches Nidam. We already spoke about these dinim, these laws, so we're going to learn a little bit more about them. We learned halachically, the halacha views the intimate relationship of a 3-year-old and 1-day girl to be halachically significant. It plays a role. Therefore, if someone gives money for kedushin to the father of the 3-year-old and 1-day girl, and then he is with the 3-year-old and 1-day girl, he has done a full kedushin, because that relation that they were together has halakhic significance. Same story in Baale Yavam Kana. This 3-year-old and 1-day girl was married, and her husband died, and she was childless. So now she falls as a Yavama, and if the brother is with her intimately, he acquires her as his Yavam. And if another man was with this 3-year-old in 1 day who's married, and another man was with her, he's chayim mishumeshet ish. You kill the man because he was with a married woman. And if somehow a 3-year-old gets her period and she menstruates, remember this might be only theoretical, just to explain the case. And she was with a man, so she's a nida at that time. But the nida goes on to the man. He has to wait 7 days to become tar, and whatever he lays on, all the mattresses all become tameh. He has a certain degree of tameh that she gives him, because her bia is halachically significant. Therefore, if he was with her when she was nida, he gets that level of tumah. If she's 3-year-old in 1 day and she marries a kohen, she can eat truma. If she's a kohenet and one of the people who are apostle, like a mamzer, is with her, a goya or a goy was with her, she becomes possible to eat truma if she was a kohenet first. She goes and if any of the arayot, anyone she's forbidden to be with, is with her, right? They die because of her, because her act of intimacy is halachically significant. Vehi pitura, but she is not liable because she's not at the age of majority yet. She's not. She's still considered a katana. So Gemara now brings this proof. It says any of the arayot. This includes even if an animal was with her. Now, what's this case? You have a case of a little 3-year-old girl being with the animal, so you have embarrassment, but you don't have any takal. You don't have no one taking it down. No one's taking the fall for it because she's a 3-year-old, so you're not going to kill her. She's a katana. So you have a case of embarrassment without a downfall. The katania we learn momotin al yada. You were going to kill the animal, you kill the other party. So you see, you can kill the animal in a case where you have embarrassment without downfall. The Gemara says not so fast. Kivan de Mzeda itakala nami. Because the truth is, there really is takala. There really is a downfall. She did it on purpose. In case of min arayot, any of the arayot come on her, they're talking b'mezid, cases where it was done on purpose. So she was on purpose with the animal. So there really is a takala. Really, there is a downfall because she's doing a deliberate sin, and really she should be punished. However, the Torah says she can't punish her because she's a child. The Torah had rachmanas on her, but the Torah does not have rachmanas on a behema. So therefore, there is takala and kalon, and therefore you do kill the behema. Just you can't kill the kid, so therefore the kid lives. But there is both in that case, says the Gemara. Amara Tashma. Okay, we'll try and prove it from another case. This is also something we already learned. Bain Tesha Shana Miyam Echad Haba Al Yivim To Kina'a. We learned that for a male, halachic significant intimacy applies at 9 years and 1 day. So Haba Al Yivim To Kina'a. If he had a brother that was married and the brother died childless, right? And so now he has his brother's wife, it became a Yavama, and this 9-year-old in 1 day goes and he's with her intimately, so he now acquires her as his Yavama. And nothing get Achigda. But he cannot give her a get because he's a cotton. He can't give a get if he wanted to divorce her. He can't give her a get until he becomes a gadol. That's bar mitzvah, right? And if his 9-year-old in 1 day is with a nida, he becomes tummy like a nida because he being 9 and 1, 9 years old in 1 day has an halachic significance, and therefore if he's with a nida, he gets the tumah of the nida, latam mishka tachton ke'elyon, and he's able to make the bottom mattress as tummy as the top mattress, just like nida herself. Faisal, if he is, let's say, a mamzer, and he's with the daughter of a kohen, he makes her possible from eating truma. However, if he is a kohen and he is with a woman, right? For the purpose of marriage, she cannot eat because you're right. He's 9 in 1 day, and his bia is considered a bia, but he's still not old enough to make kedushin happen. And if he's with an animal, he makes the animal also from going on the mizbeach. And you kill the animal. See, it says you kill the animal. Of any of the other arayot come on him. They die because of him, because he's 9 in 1 day, so therefore whatever he's with has a lot of significance, and therefore you can kill based on that. The Gemara says now, this is the case where you have degradation and embarrassment. There's no downfall because he's 9 and 1, he's still a katan, so therefore you can't kill him. But there is only embarrassment that it happened, and you still kill him. The Ketani is called Yada, and it says you do skila. So you see, as long as you have degradation, that's enough to kill. So Gemara says 1 second. No, keeping the mazid who to call the truth is, you need to be a deliberate sinner that is done on purpose, and this was done on purpose. Therefore, there is really he should die. He was with the animal on purpose. But the Torah was have rachmanut on him. The Torah gave him rachmanus. But on a behema, Torah didn't give rachmanut. So therefore, really, he should have died because what he did was on purpose, and it was a sinner, and it's a kala yod. But since the Torah had rachmanus on the katan, that's why he got off. Therefore, we do not have proof that just embarrassing alone would be good enough of a reason to be able to kill the animal. The only thing here, the Vilna Gaon has a great question. The Vilna Gaon says, after you told me the case of a 3-year-old and 1 day girl, why do you have to teach me the 9-year-old and 1 day boy? It's really the same thing. It's the same answer. The Gemara give everything the same setup, and then the same answer at the end. So why does the Gemara have to bring both of them? So the Chai V'Chamrei as well as the Vilna Gaon, they give an answer pretty much the same idea, but there's a distinction with the 3-year-old in 1 day and the 9-year-old in 1 day. Maybe when the Gemara said that the 3-year-old in 1 day, that she's off the hook because she's a small girl, because she's really, really small. She's there's no competency. There's no seichos. There's no anything there. She's 3. There's nothing to it. So maybe that's why we say she's potter over there. But maybe by the boy we would say you do kill him because 9-year-old, he's got some dot, he's got some knowledge already, and he knows what he's doing. So maybe we would say you do kill a 9-year-old. Maybe that's the difference. But here we see, no, doesn't make a difference. Still don't kill him. Okay, so that's why the 2 cases were brought. Tashma. Now, I'm going to try to prove from our Mishnah. It says, second reason is because you don't want the animal walking in the shuk. To say that because of this animal, Charlie was killed because Charlie was with this animal intimately. My love in the Sefer the Kala, the Kala Resha Kala Malaitan. So the fact at the end it talks about this case of the animal walking around, which means it's both a downfall and degradation. So the Resha, which just says downfall, my love in the Sefer the Kala, the Kala Resha, Kala Malaitan Kala, must be a case where there was embarrassment without a downfall. The Heichidami. And where do you have a case of embarrassment without a downfall? You saw it's a case of an animal of a person being with an animal accidentally, inadvertently, not planning that. That's the case where you have embarrassment. The Gemara says, "Lo, why are you learning it that way?" David the Kova, you're right. Then when it says davar after, it means you need to have embarrassment and you need to have a downfall. But Resha takala below kala. The Resha is a downfall without embarrassment. The Heichidami. And where is that case? The case we talked about initially. When you have a guy who goes with a behema, and it was like the question that they asked Rav Sheshet, which was, if a guy's with an animal, do you have a downfall because the guy's to be killed, but do you have colon? Do you have embarrassment? So since the Mishnah is not proof to any side, because it can be either or, the Rambam says based on that if a guy was with a animal, or if a Jew was with an animal inadvertently, accidentally, if one, so we read it over here, if one unwittingly engages in intercourse with an animal, right, this is talking about a Jew, the animal is not stoned to death. Since Rav Huna's question is left unresolved in the Gemara, capital punishment is not administered even to animals in cases of uncertainty. Now that was that halacha. Another halacha: a guy who engages in intercourse with an animal, a guy engages in intercourse with an animal, the guy is liable to be executed, as it's prohibited for the descendants of Noach to engage in bestiality. The animal is not killed, as Rav Shesh's dilemma is not resolved in the Gemara. Capital punishment is not administered even to animals in cases of uncertainty. So in both cases, the animal halacha l'maisa would not be killed because we were not able to answer it from our Mishnah. We have a safek, and we don't kill based on a safek. We already saw this, that even the animal is judged by 23 judges. We don't just nilly-willy decide to execute animals. It's a whole process of how we do that. Okay. So far, so good. All right. Now we're going to start a new Mishnah, and this continues. Like we said, we had those 18 cases of those who get skila being the worst punishment you can get, the stoning. Now we're going to come to the Migadef. Okay? The Migadef. This is the one who blasphemies, one who curses Hashem. Lahalacha, let's just read the Rambam here. The Rambam says one who blasphemies is liable to be executed only if he mentions the tetragrammaton, if I'm reading that correctly, explicitly, and curses the name of God with one of the other names of God. They may not be erased. So he curses the name of God with one of the other names that may not be erased. Okay, so tetragrammaton. What is that? With regard to the definition of the tetragrammaton, the Rambam writes that besides Yud K Vav K, right, which we know is the special name of Hashem, this is also reference to the name of what we say in the prayer instead of Yud K Vav K. We say Ado Nai, right? This is also considered the tetragrammaton according to the Rambam. Others disagree with the Rambam and hold it refers only to Yud K Vav K and not to Ado Nai. One who curses Hashem with other names of Hashem is not executed, but it's still aser. So according to the Rambam, we're going to learn this in our Gemara in a moment, that you can only chayav mita skila for cursing Hashem is if you use Hashem's name to curse Hashem's name. You say Hashem should curse Hashem should curse Hashem. That's the way person will become chayiv mitah for cursing Hashem. And you say curse Hashem, that has to be according to the Rambam, Yud Kei Vav Kei or Ado, either of those names you say you have to curse, and you can use one of the 7 names of Hashem that are not allowed to be erased to say that should curse Yud Kei Vav Kei. Then that person becomes Hayab Mitah. That's the way I'm understanding the Rambam correctly. That's the way the Rambam says. Now, what are the 7 names of Hashem that are not allowed to be erased? So there are different opinions of what they are. I'm going to read to you over here from the Mesivta for a second. So these are the 7 names of Hashem that is not allowed to be erased. Also, Limchoik, and I'll erase Afilu Ot Ahad, even one letter, Mesheva Shemot, from the 7 names. And not even the letters that come after the main name, meaning like there's the name and then you have the suffix at the end. Kagoin Cha Shel Elokecha, the Cham Shel Elokim, right? The Kim part, these are the 7 names. Yud Kei Vav Kei, okay, Yud Kei Vav Kei, right? Aleph Daled Nun Yud, right? Ado. He says over here, El, right? Kel, Elo, Kim, right? With Elokim, Elokah, right? That type of names. Shakai, Tzevakot, right? And some say even the word when it says in Bereshit, which says in the Torah, yeah, right? Moshe Rabbeinu gets what's Hashem's name? It says yeah, Asher yeah. It'll be what it will be, right? So the word yeah, Asher yeah is also one of those names. So if a person would use one of those 7 names to curse Yud Kei Vav Kei or Ado, then he'll be chayav mitah out being megaded, out being a blasphemer. Okay. Otherwise, if he curses, just says curse God, he does not get hayab mitah. It's still usher for sure, but it's not one that can get gila. Okay. So let's take a look now in the Mishnah and then the Gemara that ensues, and just to see that part of the halachot. Okay. You don't, you can't kill the Megadev on. He's not chayiv mitah ad sheyifaresh et Hashem. He has to use the divine name. Okay, that's the Rambam and other Rishonim. Does that include Yud Kei Vav Kei? Everyone says Yud Kei Vav Kei. Does that also include Aleph Daled Nun Yud? Rambam says yes. Amri Yeshua ben Karcha. Yeshua ben Karcha said, now, when they're dealing with the actual court case and the witnesses are coming, so what? You're going to have the witnesses say 1,000 times what the guy said? No. Every time they ask him, you don't do that. Every day, when they first come through the first dealing with the court case, they are using a kinui. They're using a nickname instead of saying Hashem's name. You're not going to use the name Yud Kei Vav Kei or whatever that they use. For example, they're going to say Yakeh Yoseh et Yoseh, that the man said, "May Yossi strike Yossi." Right? That's the way we learn. You have to use Hashem's name to curse Hashem, to be chayav mitah from Migadev. So instead of using Hashem, they use the name Yoseh. Right? Why do they use the name Yoseh? No. Why do they use the name Yoseh? And here he says in the Steinsaltz, with regard to particular choice of the name Yoseh, Rashi explains that it has 4 letters in Hebrew, just like Yud Kei Vav Kei, and that its numerical value, Yoseh, equals Elokim, equals 86 to Elokim. Others explain that the letters of the name Yoseh are spelled Yud Vav Samech Yud. The letter Yud Vav and Yud have the numerical value of 26. Just like Yud Kei Vav Kei. And the Samach indicates that it's a sign, right? Samach is a siman for Hashem's name. Others say Yossi spelled Yud, is not spelled Yud Vav Samach Yud, rather Yud Vav Samach Hey, which includes most of the letters of Yud K Vav K. So there's a reason why they use the word Yosei instead of Yud K Vav K. But that's what they do. They'll use a kinui, not Hashem's name, to explain what was happening, to go through the case. Nigmar Hadin, when the case is completed, loy hargun bichinui. But then you can't kill him without actually hearing what was actually said, what name was said. Because you want to make sure the guy really did what he did. You have to hear the actual testimony. So what do? You send everybody else out of the betin. No spectators, right? Only people really need to be there. You ask the biggest of the witnesses, what did he say? Say exactly what you heard. And he says it. Okay? He says exactly what he heard. And the judges are standing on their feet when this happens. And they rip kriya. They rip their clothing and they never fix it back because they heard someone cursing Hashem's name. Now, the second witness, you don't want him to repeat it again. So if he agrees to what was said, I also heard like him. If there's a third witness, I also heard like him. You don't have him keep repeating it. But this is the way the Rambam learns the Mishnah, and Rashi learns the Mishnah, is that you make the guy actually say the entire curse the way it was originally said. The Yerushalmi, the Talmud Yerushalmi does not learn this Mishnah that way. Talmud Yerushalmi says we don't make the witness say the entire curse the way it was said. Rather, we tell the witness, say the name of God that was used, the names of gods, right? The two names of gods that was used, right? Because they say God cursed God. So you tell us the names that were used, and then say the curse without putting in the names of God into the curse. Meaning, we want to hear everything that was said, but we're not going to use God's name in the curse. We're going to put the names, and then we'll say what the curse was. That's the way the Yerushalmi learns. The Rambam disregards the Yerushalmi completely. And the Rambam says the halacha is the pasha, the way the Mishnah is learned, that the witness has to say exactly the way the curse was said. And it fits in better with the Mishnah too, because they're ripping Kriya. The other point, they really didn't hear the curse. Yeah, you can say that they understand it, the curse, that's why they rip Kriya. But Pashtus, the simple explanation is like the Rambam and like Rashi, that you would make one of the witnesses actually say exactly word for word what he heard, and then you would kill the person. Now, Tana, we're talking in Braita, Achivar shame b'shame. He only hayavita if he curses God with God's name. You have to use God to curse God. That is kol megalim. Manahanimili. From how do we know this? Manahanimili, and this ends the sugya for today. Next week, as Hashem will continue from this point. Omar Shmuel. Shmuel says the Omar Kra, because it says in pasuk v'nokev shame. So if you want to look at the full pasuk, Torah or Hashalom on the page Aleph, right in the far right margin on the Hebrew page. The second, not the first thing on the top, is the Messiah, second one, Torah Shalom, the Pasuk Aleph. It says, V'nokev Shem Hashem. One who curses the name of Hashem, Mot Yumat, you have to kill him, Ragom Yurgemubo, Kol Eida, you have to throw stones at him, all the people. Ger Ke'ezrach, the Ger and the one who's the citizen, V'nikvov Shem Yumat. When he curses the name, he dies. So it says twice, V'nokev Shem, shame. So that means he has to use God's name to curse God's name. Okay. So the way we understood the Rambam was that he can use one of the 7 names that you're not allowed to be erased to curse the Yud K Vav K or Aleph Dalid Nun Yud. I just want to make sure I read that correctly from the Rambam. One who blasphemes actually only if he mentions the tetragrammaton explicitly and curses the name of God with one of the other names of God, they may not be erased. Right. So he curses Yud Kei Vav Kei or Aleph Dal Nun Yud with one of the other 7 names of the not be erased. And that's considered a Migade. For next week, as Hashem, we'll go a little bit more into detail of the Migadev. And I think also starting next week, we get into the dinim of a Ben Noach. So a guy, which mitzvot they have, this actually starts, might be the end, about next week. I see it on 56A5 and involved Amid Aleph on the bottom. Start Sheva mitzvot, mitzvah b'nei Noach. What are those 7 commandments? What are the parameters of those commandments? And all that, Be'ez Hashem, will start next week. If there's any questions, we'll take them now. Otherwise, we're done for today.
One question.
Yeah.
Question of the topic. Okay, go ahead. Salomon, спроси потом я.
Go ahead.
Salomon,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay. And basically, my question is, what is the rationale of making the person repeat the curse again and basically tear all the stuff? What's the rationale? Why can't they make them write, let's say, on the piece of paper and then bury it in the ground?
Very good. Very good question. Do you want to give the answer to it? Okay. The answer is very simple. In Yahadut, in Judaism, writing is not considered edut, right? Edut, testimony, must be from the mouth of the witness. That's it. If you don't have the witnesses saying it, it's not considered testimony. They have to have said it. And that's why you have to make them say it in order to have real testimony to be able to kill these people. Otherwise, you don't have any real edut. That's why it has to be repeated. Does that answer it?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Avram, you had a question also?
It's of the topics. Is it recording?
You want me to take it off recording?
Yeah.
Okay,
It doesn't matter for me, honestly.